Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, the 28th day of February 2025. And of course today is a Friday, and once it's a Friday and it's 1 p.m., well, here's where I would want to be at this time to spend an hour in your company. So I say welcome to one and all who would have joined the program On Point today. My name is Alexis Jeffers, and of course, from the onset, we always recognize the folks who are with us. Of course, the folks here in Nevis who are listening to Von Radio at this time and also following on the different social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and so forth. I want to say good afternoon to everyone here in Nevis. Good afternoon to everyone down there in St. Kitts as well. And we do have a good following down there in St. Kitts because persons there can tell me exactly what is being aired on Von Radio. So I'm sure some persons are listening at this point in time. Welcome. Also want to welcome all those who are listening throughout the Eastern Caribbean. You're talking about Statia, Sabre, French and Dutch St. Martin, the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, up to the, and then we get out of the Caribbean and go up to the United States, all across the United States, the eastern part of the United States, central, central areas of Oklahoma, Texas, and Mississippi, and those places. I'm acknowledging this because, of course, we do have persons who are living there, going to school there, and perhaps vacationing at this point in time. And, of course, the West Coast. It's morning there now, so I say good morning to everyone on the West Coast, whether it's California, Oregon, and up to Washington State as well. So the whole of Canada as well, but I normally would identify persons or recognize persons in Toronto. While I'm there, let me say good afternoon to Ursula Daniel, Skipper. Skipper is a native of Nevis, and her roots are in Brick Hill. And of course, my understanding is that she follows all of the broadcasting and all of the shows that are aired here on Von Radio. And of course, I mentioned Skipper, yes, but there are quite a number of persons there in Toronto and Montreal and Quebec and those places who are from these parts who follow what is happening here in the Federation. I say welcome to you. Of course, up in Europe, England, France, Germany, you have persons there, Denmark, wherever you are, Switzerland, in Europe. We recognize you at this time and welcome you. And of course, I cannot forget our friends and family over there in the Republic of China, Taiwan, where we have students and citizens there who are going to school and also, of course, working there and perhaps visiting as well, because we have that those diplomatic ties where all citizens can go there from time to time, of course. Okay, so I spent a few minutes going around the globe. Let's come back to Nevis now and continue the program as we normally would do on a Friday in terms of recognizing those families or those persons who are in the bereaved column. Of course, yes, we would have learned on Wednesday evening that we would have lost Mrs. Maureen Stapleton, former matron there at the Alexandria Hospital. She was predeceased by her husband, Nelson Stapleton, of course, a few weeks ago. And I want to express condolences to her son, Al Stapleton, who works there at Nevlec. And I want to extend our deepest sympathies to the entire family of Maureen Stapleton. Of course, Maureen, those of you who listen to, I think it's Health Talk, there's a program on Von Radio here at mornings, say around 7:35 there about health, something to do with health though. I forget the name tag, but anyway, that's okay. She was one of the architects, if not one of the architects, she was a prominent member and a frequent voice you would have heard on that program, disseminating information about our health. Of course, she would have worked in the nursing fraternity for quite a number of years. I would readily guess in excess of 30 years, 40 years thereabout. And indeed, she was on various boards. I recall she was on a nursing association board there in St. Kitts when I was there as the Minister of Agriculture at the federal level. I know her name was there affixed to a particular board there. Something to do with nursing, though. can't seem to recall. That being said, though, one has to pay homage to Maureen, and of course she would have made a contribution in that particular field over the years, and undoubtedly the impact can still be felt in terms of what she would have done to improve nursing, to encourage young ladies to get into nursing. Perhaps she may have tried with a few young men as well too, but we're now getting young men into the nursing fraternity here as well. So, but Maureen would have played a part in that regard, and Nevis on a whole would be eternally grateful for the time that was spent here and out by Maureen Stapleton, and what she would have done while she was here. She would have left a legacy, of course, that all of us can certainly relate to, and all of us can try to emulate, because Nevis has to continue and move on, and of course we got to continue to build this island, and as the generations come and go, that legacy has to be carried on and built upon. So Maureen, the family of Maureen, that is, I express my sympathies once again, and whatever you do, continue to lift everyone up in that family in strength, and provide the support that is needed to go through these difficult times. Of course, anyone else who are in the bereaved column at this point in time, I want to express my profound sympathies, and indeed, although it is a difficult time, there is a song that Jesus comes in the midst of the storm to deliver his children from harm. When the time gets so rough, he will say, "That's enough." Jesus comes in the midst of the storm. So you sing that to yourself and continue to believe that, of course, you will be taken care of by the Almighty. Okay, so let's move on. And of course, when there are sad times, there are also times to rejoice or time to celebrate. And I will say that, of course, someone must be celebrating at this point in time on the 28th day of February. So I don't have anyone on my list, but I want to say to all who are celebrating, whether it's a birthday, whether it's an anniversary, whether it's whatever, graduation. There are persons who would have graduated from the Clarence Fitzroy College, Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. So persons would have graduated earlier this week. I know I have some cousins who would have graduated. I say congratulations to them. Congratulations to all who would have graduated, and see this as a point in time where you not only say that you have arrived, but a point in time where you can build on further and press on further to achieve much more, because as they say sometimes, the sky is the limit, and you haven't necessarily started in earnest as yet, but something tells me that many of you who would have graduated are thinking bigger and brighter things, and you're thinking about moving further ahead. So continue to press on and continue to put God front and center in everything that you do and say, because that is where you'll get your sustenance, and that is where you'll get the impetus to move on. Okay, so we move on as well to, of course, I missed out last Friday because of funeral that was held last Friday. That was the funeral for Robert Clark Bitt. So I want to just touch on something quickly that happened the week prior, which I should have spoken about last week, and lend my congratulations as well. 2 Sundays ago, there was the 10-10 Nevis Cricket Association finals over there at the VOJ Sporting Facility, and indeed it was a match, a very good match, which was held, and the competition was between the Brownhill Cricket team or cricket club and the Highlights International Cricket Club. So both teams put on a good display then, and of course in the end the Highlights International Cricket team was victorious. The scores I don't have, but I am recognizing the Highlights Cricket Club at this point in time for their victory. Let's put it that way. Indeed, there's some young fellas who would have excelled in that match, and I want to say congratulations to all of them. Those notes that I had then to relate to last week, I don't have them with me today, but I just want to recognize the highlights International Cricket Club. And I also bring it up because I also want to recognize Wendell Micey Wallace and his team. And why I do so is because there was a point in time when all of the finals and so forth were held in the E.T. Willett Park. And I believe part of the overall growth and development of this island is to spread many of the things that used to happen in Charlestown, only spread it out to the countryside or the country areas or those communities that are away from Charlestown. And so there have been a lot of cricket played over there at the VOJ Sporting Facility, and that place looks so immaculate when you go there and have a look at the field and the surrounding, well kept. And I want to recognize Wendell Micey Wallace and his team, guys like Veli Maynard, Albie Pemberton, and all of the youngsters who are part of the Wendell Austin Wallace Cricket Academy. I also want to acknowledge the ladies as well, who play an integral part in providing the eats and you know, man the bar and so forth. Persons like Colleen Liebert and you know, what's her name now? Her name is drifting off. Latoya Busu and Kayla Webb, Janisha Daniel, and sometimes I would see Malva Rollins over there, and Jen there from Craddock Road. I'm going to get myself into trouble here. That's why I stumbled and stuttered initially, because I know once I start calling name, I'll miss out on someone or some persons, and they probably would feel somewhere about it. But I just want to say, well, everyone who are involved in making things happen over there at the VOJ Sporting Facility, who work along with Wendell Micey Wallace and to bring about the success of these events, I say congratulations to you and continue to press on in such regard. Of course, the VOJ Sporting Facility is always something that I love to talk about. Why? In 2006, it was started under the Concerned Citizens Movement, that is the construction, that is. And by the time the government changed in July of 2006, that facility was left abandoned to the point where nothing was done between 2006 and 2013, nothing whatsoever. But we always felt that it was a facility, or it is a facility that has a place and a part to play in the overall development of our young men and young women. So of course all efforts were made to continue the work, and we did so between the years 2016 thereabout, when we continued with the construction of that facility, completed it, and constructed the lights that are there so folks can utilize the facility in the night. And of course the pavilion and outside bathroom facilities and the like. So that is a facility that is being used by not only us here locally, but of course we've had tournaments there as well, where the Leeward Islands female cricket team would have come there and played matches. We've had practice sessions by the this CPL team from St. Kitts there, and persons come there, and the pitch is a lovely pitch, of course, well taken care of and everything. The facility is nice, so people come there from time to time to practice and to utilize the facility, and I'm so proud of what that has become. But there's more work to be done, because we are in the process of putting plans together to get a basketball court, netball court, and also a tennis court built on the eastern or the western portion of that facility, right in the proximity, close proximity of the VOJ school, where that old court is. Some plans are afoot to get that area rehabilitated and expanded to the point where we can call it a true sporting complex when it's all said and done. Yeah, so those are in the works, and we'll talk about that as we go along some more. So congratulations once again to the Highlights International Cricket Club. Okay, let's move on. Sports Day. There are sporting activities, you know, that are happening at this time, at least all of the schools, the primary schools and high schools on the island of Nevis will be having their sports day. Some have gone already, and there are more to be held this upcoming week. But I want to single out these 3 schools because they're in my constituency, and I want as many persons as possible to go out and support. And I want to start first with the St. James Primary School. Their sports day is on Tuesday the 4th of March, and that begins at 1 p.m. right up there at the St. James Primary School. So that is normally a fun day. It is a day when all of the athletes come out to put on their best show. And it's not a large school, of course, but it is one that has some competition there. And there are some athletes who would not only compete at their best there, but they also go to the Mundo track when it's all said and done for the inter-primary school, or the mini Olympics as they call it, and they usually will shine there as well too. So I know this is the prelude of what is to come at the Mundo track later in April when they have that major sporting activity. Of course, on Wednesday the 5th would be the St. Thomas Primary School sports day. That starts at 1 p.m. as well, so I'm encouraging one and all to go down and lend your support to the young girls and young boys who will be competing down there, and all of the various sporting discipline or sporting races will be held there as well. And then of course on Friday, next Friday, a week from today, the 7th of March, will be the VOJN Primary School sports day, sorry, and that will be held at 12:30 p.m. on the 7th of March, next Friday. So chances are I probably would be here, but I'll journey over when I'm done with my show next Friday to lend my support to the youngsters as well. So those are the sporting activities or sports day that are coming up this week for those schools that I have identified. But of course, on social media within the public domain, there is a schedule as to who will be having their sports day, along with these 3 schools that I just mentioned, which are the St. James on the 4th, St. Thomas Primary on the 5th, and of course VOJN on the 7th. There are other schools that you would know are hosting this sports day this upcoming week. Go on out and give them your support. Okay, good. Moving right along again, Jameer Claxton, good afternoon to you, sir, and I want to congratulate you, Jameer, for being appointed, or well, let me say promoted, because saying appointed is something else. You know, that's a different you know, a different category to be in, so to speak. But I would say you were promoted from Director of Sports to the Principal Assistant Secretary position in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports et al. And I say congratulations to you, Jameer. You are from the village of Bath, which is right where I am here, next door to where I am. And of course, you would have been on this show as well, On Point, sometime last year around the sporting season as well too, because I recall you coming here and spending some time with us and explaining what is happening in the world of sports here in Nevis. That being said, I believe you have done a remarkable job in terms of how you've carried yourself and how you would have exerted the energies that you have towards sports and other things in the ministry that you work in. And so, for your hard work and your dedication, you have been rewarded with a promotion to the Principal Assistant Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport et al. And I say congratulations to you. And of course, if there's a young man, those of you out there who are young and coming up in Nevis, coming up in the world, and if there's someone to emulate, Jameer would be your guy. Yeah? Okay, so congratulations, and I wish you all the best in your new position, Jameer. Let's move right along. Of course, today, Friday, the 28th of February, is what is called the National Day of Prayer. National Day of Prayer. And of course, I want to just read a notice that was put out to recognize this day and to inform persons as to what will happen today. Well, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, through the Ministry of Ecclesiastical and Faith-Based Affairs, in collaboration with the church community, invites you or the general public to join in the annual National Day of Prayer on Friday, which is today, Friday, the 28th day of February 2025. This year's theme is Evangelize in 2025, preaching, teaching, sharing the gospel through the Word of God. And of course, churches across the Federation opened their doors at 8 a.m. this morning. And of course, there'll also be a mobile prayer unit which will be covering various communities, offering prayer sessions throughout the day. A special service of prayer, worship, and exaltation will take place this evening at 7 p.m. at the Pentecostal Church of God at Boone Avenue in St. Kitts. But here in Nevis, the New Testament Church of God, right here in Bath, will be the place for that church service this evening at 7 p.m. So I'm inviting one and all to go down to the New Testament Church of God right here in Bath Village. That's down there next to the Bath Hot Springs. Go down, and everyone is encouraged to participate. Of course, if you haven't done so and you're passing a church at any point in time today, or you can pull over on the side of the road and say a prayer for this nation, say a prayer for the island of Nevis, say a prayer for your family, say a prayer for whatever you believe that you need the Lord's intervention on. Of course, I was raised by my grandmother, and she was someone who prayed morning, noon, and night. And I'm always reminded of this song, "My mama prayed to a God who always listened." My mama prayed, and of course, her prayers were answered in many regards. I know I can feel her prayers even up until today. So prayers do work, and you have to always invite God's presence into whatever you're doing. Yeah. So I ask you to go on out and participate in the rest of today's activities, and of course, say a prayer for all of us and this nation. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So let us move on quickly, because there are some other things that we would want to touch on. And let me see quickly what else I have here in terms of notice before I move on. Okay, very good. So that's all set. Okay, so well, what it is that in recent times we've been hearing a lot of things being said about the airport, things being said about lands, things being said. And when I say about the airport, I mean, a lot would be said about the airport from time to time. And I want to say this to the people of Nevis and those who are listening. From the very onset, when we said we were going to seek to expand, rehabilitate, and bring some life back to the Vance Winkworth Amri International Airport, it has been a chatter. But I'll say from the onset as well, that one of the things that NRP has always contended, and I've said it publicly, that they would never, ever touch that airport so long as Vance Amri's name is on the airport. Can't say they didn't say it. It is on tape. It was recorded that they have said, and they continue to spew that nonsense, that they would never touch the Vance Amri International Airport so long as Vance Winkworth Amri name is on that airport. And so when I hear them talk, I don't bother. There are times when you certainly will have to ignore the noise, which is what we're doing, because of course I have said before that if, for example, Vance Amri International Airport is left as it is, then that will certainly restrict, diminish further, or even ensure that no further progress take place in Nevis. When people are seeking to come to your country or your island, there must be accessibility. And when I say accessibility, they must be able to come either by sea or by air. Those are the points that you can enter the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, or enter Nevis at least. And so it was a no-brainer when we thought about rehabilitating that facility. We understand what it used to be, And when I say used to be, back in the day when we had that turboprop out of Puerto Rico, that is the American Eagle, flying out of Puerto Rico into Nevis, of course, those were the, as we would say from time to time, the heydays, the glory days. And of course, this was confirmed by those folks who have that hotel over there in Jones Estate, that those were the best days that they would have experienced in the hotel sector. And many other properties here in Nevis can say the same thing. Because why? There was accessibility. And the access was done from a point in the United States or U.S. mainland, or the U.S., for example, if you simply want to put it that way, which was Puerto Rico, straight to Nevis. So, for example, someone fly down from New York into Puerto Rico, someone fly down from Miami into Puerto Rico, someone fly from Texas down into Puerto Rico, someone fly from California. I don't know if they are direct flights, but I know that is generally the thinking. You fly from those points into Puerto Rico and then into Nevis. That was the good old days. And those are the good old days we are seeking to rekindle by having folks not fly into Puerto Rico, but fly out of Miami into Nevis. And so we are moving ahead with our plans in order to get the work started. And of course, in short order, we'll have more information for the general public, because from what is being done now, those memorandum of transfers for those persons who we would have had engagements with in terms of discussion with the price and agreement on the price for their land and properties, for example. We are now putting together that legal document, that memorandum of transfer, so that we can start the process of paying out those persons whose lands we intend to acquire to move forward with the expansion of that project. So a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, and I can certainly just speak to what can be spoken about today, but I will not speak about what is not true and what should not be spoken about, because we are a government that speak when the time is right, and we speak what is to be spoken when it should be. And as such, I want to implore upon the people of Nevis to not be dragged into foolishness where people will go out and start a fire on Facebook, so to speak. And I got some calls last week, also over the weekend, that is, about various things that people with idle hand and idle fingers and idle thoughts are trying to start here on the island of Nevis. But one of the things we've always said is to ignore the noise, one, but also to stay focused. Stay focused on what you're doing, because we would not have accomplished so much in this island if we didn't stay focused. As a matter of fact, when I look at some of the projects that we have initiated and completed and have been used and utilized by the people of Nevis, I said if it was not for us being focused on what we're doing, then of course we would have been sidetracked. We would have been dissuaded a long time. We would have been looking in another direction and second guessing ourselves. So we should not be doing that, but at least we are staying focused on what we are about to do. And of course that project will be one that transforms the island of Nevis and bring Nevis to the level of development that we have always talked about and always envisaged and always think about, or whatever the case might be. We're going to get to that level of development with the expansion of the Van Summer International Airport. I can safely say internally, and what that has meant to the island of Nevis, that water taxi facility, every time I go there, every time I pass that area, and every time I think about what we would have gone through back in 2017, 2018, and 2019, and those years, all of the noise that was made, all of the criticisms that we would have gotten, all of the things that were said to dissuade us. We never bend, buckle, nor bow to any pressure. We pressed on, and we had the vim, vigor, and vitality to press on with that and to bring about a project that has transformed movement and war and transfers between the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis, and that has touched every sector of the economy. That has certainly catapulted this island to a certain level that can be compared to many others, in the sense that the ease of moving between these two islands, it isn't the case in some other countries and some other islands south of us or even north of us. But here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Man, within minutes you're on St. Kitts. Oh, within minutes you're in Nevis. Like a piece of cake. Simply because we had the vision. Simply because we saw the need for it. And simply because we are a government that believe that all people must benefit from the efforts of the government, must benefit from the vision of the government. And that is what is happening over there at the Oale Water Taxi Facility. And the best is yet to come, because the numbers are proving that money is being made. They don't like to hear me talk about money, but everybody out there making money, taxi operators and all. Everybody making a dollar over there, and that is the important thing. And you know the NRP don't like to hear people making money. They want to go around saying, oh, things hard, things bad. I want to say to the NRP, you better go over there. Those of you in the NRP, that is, who keep criticizing, you better go over there and watch the movements and see how you can capitalize on what's happening out there. Because I do believe there are opportunities available to one and all out there. Okay, so let me leave that and move on. And, you know, before I go on, I just have to say that it is normally said, though, you know, that, you know, the realm of politics, yeah, is where ideas, policies, and vision collide. That's a saying I would have picked up somewhere. The realm of politics is where ideas, policies, and vision collides. And that pier over there, that same water taxi facility, along with other things, can certainly fit into that particular saying. Yeah, because that was vision. And it was a policy decision by the government, because someone else wanted to build a water taxi facility down at the bottom of Cotton Ground. And we decided as a cabinet, no, we want to have NASPA in control of the facility so that anyone who wants to get into that particular business can get into it, but manage it, and manage it safely and securely. And that is where policy decision comes in. And the idea, of course, you hear idea, policy, and vision collide. The idea was one that is a no-brainer, because, of course, when persons came into Nevis in the past, you see them walking on that wooden pier over there by the hotel over there in Jones Estate. And I myself personally saw a guest fell down one Saturday afternoon right on the pier, and by the time she stood up, there was blood coming down her knees. Yeah? That is not the welcome that we want to have for our guests, or citizens, or residents. And that is why the idea of constructing that facility just down the beach from that one, that wooden pier, that idea was a no-brainer. Yeah? So all these collided and bought us that facility and many other projects. But while I'm saying that, let me just say that all of what we have done was for the people of Nevis, or visitors who are people, or residents who are people, or young people, or senior citizens who are people. People have always been the center of our focus when it comes to any project or anything that we have established here on the island of Nevis under this concerned citizens movement and the leadership of the Honorable Mark Brantley, and even before, when he had the leadership of the Honorable Van Samry. May his soul rest in peace. But people has always been the center of our focus, at the core of our efforts. People. And that is why when I see people making money over there, when I see people moving back and forth to go to work at Park Hyatt, when people moving back and forth to go to St. Kitts to perhaps catch a flight out of St. Kitts, or come to Nevis to catch a flight out of Nevis, when I see people moving back and forth to come to Nevis to partake of the amenities that we have here, the bars and the shops and down at Pinny's Beach and the likes, when people leave here and go down to St. Kitts, whether it's down to Spratnet or down to Reggae Beach, wherever they go to over there to have a dinner or have a good time, when I see people moving back and forth, essentially what I get from this is that the CCM had people at the center of what they were doing when they thought about that whole facility over there. And I said, CCM, I ain't gonna take the credit for it. All of us came together, and all of us came together with the ideas, and all of us came together with the approvals and the support that was necessary to get that project going and get it to where it's at, yeah? But while we are talking about these positive things and these good things that are happening in Nevis, all we hear from the other side is criticisms of everything that the CCM has done or is doing. One such criticism that I hear from time to time, and most times when I listen to the leader of the NRP, what's her name, Janice, everything that Alexis Jeffers have done in the island of Nevis, every single project that I have done, I've heard criticisms from Janice, whether in the Nevis Island Assembly, whether it's on radio, whether it's on Facebook. One of the things that she continued to criticize every time, because there are many others. And one of the things I'll say now before I go any further is that the fact that she can criticize these things says a lot. You know what? It's because I've been working. We've been working as a government. I've been working from the time I got to the point where I can lift any load, heavy load in this island. I've been working. Whether back in TDC days, whether when I was the teacher or whatever the case. But since I've come around government for sure, I've been working. And the fact that she can point out many different projects and criticize them, that's fine. And she criticized the police station the other day, or something to do about fire truck can't fit. So juvenile criticism, I call that. But one of the things that concerns me is the obsession that Janice has with the police station. One of the best police station in the Federation. One of the best police station in the OECS. One of the best police station in CARICOM. I haven't seen all, but I say one of the best. I could almost say the best. But in CARICOM, you look at that police station and you said it has to be one of the best. But we hear the criticisms. And I try to figure out what is the obsession. And I responded to some extent on Facebook and said, well, Janice, with all the projects that I've handled, the good thing, the fortunate thing, and the truth is, not one soul has ever gone to jail as a result of all of those projects that I've handled. But when we look at your record, you are the one who said it. You are the one who said that while you were in Nevis, multiple people went to jail in St. Thomas who work at the Department of Physical Planning and Natural Resources down there, a department you headed then. So I start to ask myself, what is the obsession with that police station? You know, in the police station, that's where law and order is conducted. Police are there. Security. And I say, perhaps Janice is obsessed, or her conscience is pricking her with respect to jail. I don't know, because police station is on her mind all the time. Why is she obsessed with the police station? Well, Janice, let me just tell you one thing I could tell you. You could go ahead in the police station and tell them to let you in. Have a look inside. Maybe sit in one of the cells inside there and see what it feels like. And I'm dead serious. However you want to take it, it's up to you, and whoever want to take it however they want. Because you look at that station, right, and we look at what was there before. What was there before? Are all dilapidated, rat-infested, mole-infested. Electrical wires were hanging down out of the roof. Water was coming through electrical conduit. Ceiling was falling out. Terrible, deplorable condition. And what I told the police officers who were housed there at the time, listen, we have a federal representative that passed here every morning. Back in 2010 to 2015, did he ever come in and ask a question? Has he ever said that he's going to champion your cause in St. Kitts and ask for a station for you? Well, I can't recall what the answer was, but I can tell you, I told them that so long as I'm elected as the representative of St. James, I will ensure that at some point I bring about a brand new police station for the policemen and policewomen and for the community of Newcastle. I'll bring it about. I bring that to fruition. And I worked. I can recall having a meeting with the cabinet and the police officers, the high command, that is, the police high command. And the Honorable Van Samry was the premier then. And you know, in all of the discussion, he said, Minister Jeffers, I'm going to leave it to you. I'm going to leave it to you to handle this one. I believe you can make it happen. That is what he told me. Well, poor me. He was telling me then that you have to get it pushed down and rebuilt. And when it comes to me, I never back down, Never bend buckle nor bow to nothing. So I went about my business. I first called up, what's his name? They Colin Walters, an architect over there, the top of Fountain over there. Lives in the constituency. And for that, I will say this before I go on. That's a man who have done a lot of architectural work here on the island of Nevis. He was the one who was charged with the architectural work. I don't know if he votes for me or for Janice, or he voted for me or for Janice, but he's from the constituency. And Janice, when you're going around criticizing people's work, you understand what harm you can do to them, right? You're not criticizing me. You're criticizing the architect, because I sent him on a mission and told him to go to the police, ask them what they would want the facility to look like, or what they would want done to the facility. Go to the fire officers and ask them what type of accommodation they'll want and what they would want done there. So he went and discussed with them and came back to me. And then he was able to get the charge to go and do the final drawings. And that is what he came up with. And I thank him for it. But you're criticizing something, throwing all kind of word on the architect, as far as I'm concerned, because I didn't draw anything. I didn't draw anything. But if you had enough common sense, you'd understand how the process works and who does what. And when you start to criticize the building and criticize the architect, in my opinion, you're indirectly criticizing the architect. You're casting aspersion on someone who would have done a lot of work here on the island of Nevis. Beautiful work. The treasury was in my control as well, too, was under my responsibility. I oversaw the designs and everything. But in terms of the construction, that was done by the Ministry of Finance. They handled their own construction. But the architect would have gone and sat with those folks at Inland Revenue, VAT and what's not, and then brought back the drawings to me, which I passed on to the Ministry of Finance. But I was heavily involved in many things in Nevis. I like to live where Janice. But anyway, so you're criticizing this facility. And so what you see out there is what was agreed upon and what was done. And so Van Samry said, to get it done, the Honorable Van Samry, that is. And so I had to seek out the ways and means of getting that done. We pushed down the old building. Before I start to talk about pushing down and building, I could recall one night, it was November, I believe, of 2016, after our discussions with the Police High Command. I was heading home to Newcastle, passing the police station. And when I passed there, no lights at all. It was dark. Oh my goodness, and my heart dropped. Almost like it fell out of my chest. I said, what is going on here? Lo and behold, I made a call to the then commissioner, and I was told, boy, these guys move out. They said they can't take it no more. I said, wow, at least please do me this. Please do me this favor. Ask them to go back and put on the lights in the old police station. Just leave the lights on, so that at least anyone passing there will think that persons are still there, or the police are still there. But of course, they're not there, yes, but at least they're still there. As a means of security, and as a means of, bringing some hope to the people when they pass there. But the police had already moved out and gone down to Cotton Ground. But the lights were put back on. And so we went about tearing down the building, and we went about figuring out a way to reconstruct, and got that mortgage and everything from what do you call it, First Caribbean, because of course the federal government was not coming along as quickly as we'd like. They eventually came along later on, but we were well on our way to completing that building when that happened. We were not waiting. And when you're in charge, man, you behave like you're in charge. Okay? So that's it for that police station. I ain't going to go no further, because of course that building is a beauty over there, and serving the roles that it serves in terms of providing safety and security, and also ensuring that we have that landmark in Newcastle. One of these days you pass there and just visualize that police station. Nothing is there. No open space. Could not happen under me. That's not the type of representation that I bring. But Janice, back to you. That whole thing that happened in St. Thomas, I'm not going to go into it, because I heard a saying, a quotation of the day, yesterday on Von Radio. And I would probably repeat it just for your sake. because I understand everything is sealed, signed, sealed, and delivered wherever they are down there in St. Thomas. I just want you to know that the fact that the truth is not told does not mean that the truth is not known. The truth about what happened down there, it may not be told, but it is known. But something tells me that when it comes to this lady, Janice, it just seems like the criticisms that I'm hearing suggest to me that she would mash up anything she put in and mash it up. Once it wasn't her party, or once she didn't have nothing to do with it, mash it up. So down in St. Thomas, you realize that the Department of Natural Resources, whatever you call it down there, multiple people's lives were mashed up, you know, or destroyed. Because when people go to jail, you think going to jail is like going to a hotel? And when she said multiple people went to jail, she didn't even say, sadly, people went to jail, or regrettably, people went to jail. He said multiple people went to jail. And the interesting thing, she was just a few feet down the road from the police station over there at Newcastle when she said it. Boy, I tell you, the way the world work, eh? No remorse. Multiple people went to jail, like she was gleeful. I might have said, but it wouldn't have happened under me for sure. But I'm just saying, a part of me tells me that I would have said, sadly, multiple people went to jail, or regrettably. She didn't say that. But multiple people went to jail, and she was gleeful about it, as if to propel herself forward, yeah? But when people are incarcerated, they're subjected to dangerous conditions, you know, resulting in trauma. It could cause them to lose their job, their housing, their freedom. Incarceration usually severs ties between family or among family members too, you know. Look how, you see, you hear this thing being said, multiple people went to jail, and people look like they just gloss over it and move on. We have some reporters here in this federation, but more so in Nevis, asking some foolish question when they go to the Premier's press conference. Not those who are asking good questions, but those who come asking foolishness. Instead of asking these politicians like Janice, well, explain to us what these multiple people went to jail. Man, tell us some more about it now. Let us know what happened. Because you understand people going to jail. I don't know who the multiples are, whether it was 5, 6 or 10 people, I don't know. But you hear multiple mean quite a few. Same time Janice is in Nevis. People go in jail in St. Thomas. She said it, and Janice don't send a liar letter to me, you know. Because when you open up your mouth and say these things, expect to be examined and expect it to be repeated. So I saw a case the other day, you know, concerning some persons who was reading from an audit. And the judge said, well, they were reading from the audit. You publish it. So you go there and say multiple people went to jail. Destroy people's life as far as I'm concerned, because once you go to jail, you're never the same again. And you have the heart to say it with a bold face, multiple people went to jail, when in truth and in fact, multiple people's lives were destroyed, incarcerated, whether they were trained in the area they were working there at the Department of Physical Planning and Natural Resources down there in St. Thomas. If they had training in that area, all the training would have gone for naught, because they couldn't come back to their job. And on the top of that, a fella there who was the former governor down there in the Virgin Islands came up, well, not came up, a recording came up, a man who was criminally charged down there for using monies from the treasury to do personal things, had to pay back, endorsed Janice over there right next to the police station, the same police station that she criticized every time. I mean, the records are there, the newspaper clippings are there, the very consortium, them have it down there, all up and down and blazoned across it. A criminally charged former governor. Where in the world anybody can endorse me, endorse Mark Brantley, endorse anybody in the CCM who was criminally charged? And the people of Nevis Don't see the wrong in this? So you up and down, you have people in your party who said that they're self-proclaimed investigators, up and down spreading and spewing all kind of lies, and you, Janice, have never condemned them because they're lies they're spreading, but you up and down benefiting in whatever way because you're quiet about it. Whatever is said about the Premier of Nevis, about the CCM, and you're quiet about it and you accept it. Because who are doing it are self-proclaimed or being endorsed by the party to go and do that. It can't be right. And so when you think about these things, right? I'm not going to go on further, you know. I think I have a bit more time. How much time I have? I have more time. But wait. To your credit though, Janice, the Newcastle Bay Foundation, right? You always say you co-founded it. Because I was responsible for it as well. Well, let me tell you. And let me tell the people of Nevis. The Indian Castle Fisher Folks Association was conceptualized and formed by Mackie, Stephen Moore, and others down there in Indian Castle or Hanley's Road. He came to my office. We sat down when I was the minister responsible for fisheries, and I gave him blessings, gave him the support, and they would have had some successful events down there at Indian Castle, fishing tournament and the like. Well, I said over there at Newcastle we want the same thing, but I can't be heavily involved because I'm the Minister of Agriculture. I'll give the support. And there are persons out there in the community who would have worked tirelessly to put that organization together, and they're no longer part of the organization. Why? Same thing. Destroy, mash up the whole thing. The former president is no longer there. Other members are no longer part of it because all of a sudden this has moved from the Newcastle Bay Foundation to look like a NRP Foundation. Because every time an event is held, all you see is people in the green hat, green shirt, green waistcoat, green long sleeve shirt, green shoes, green pant, green, what you call it, you know, what you call them now, shades, sunglasses, green everything, green wig, green everything. So you do that. You start to bring in politics into the Newcastle Bay Foundation. Last weekend they had an event over there. An event to raise some funds. I ain't gonna go into that, but who you see behind the grill? Man in the green hat and green shirt. So when you see these things, you say, and that is how the people, I was a part of it, me can't be a part of this story here. I paid my dues, but you look at the Newcastle Bay Foundation, very good idea. Very good idea. And Newcastle Bay, as we call it, vibrant as ever was it was then. But the whole thing looking mash up now. Hardly anybody come down there now. Simply because of this infusion of the politics. Simply because of that. And the people who are actively involved have decided they can't take it no more and they move on. Mash up. Destroyed. Life destroyed in the Virgin Islands. Oh my goodness. Not only that, look at NRP. NRP, they only put in on a good face, you know. But they're completely in disarray where they are. Because ever since 2022, before the last ballot was counted, NRP lose a whole seat under the leadership of Janice. A whole seat. Never before in the history of the island of Nevis have that ever happened. Where a whole seat is lost before you even finish counting the last ballot. Confusion broke out. Honorable Cleon Stapleton is no longer with them. Want a seat under the umbrella of NRP. Lack of leadership. Anything she put her hand on, it's destroyed apparently. Anything. Her party is now cussing young people. So they're Googling to figure out how to treat people. And anybody younger than me can't touch me. That's what coming from our party. Young people are being ostracized by the NRP under the leadership of Janice. I tell you, destroying everything. Well, Janice, let me tell you something. You don't get the chance to mash up Nevis, okay? As much as you think that the people of Nevis are going to sit back and allow this island to be in the hands of persons who are perennially destroyers, right? Because the evidence is there to show, and I am expressing my opinion, so when you already do what you all want to do, because I have an opinion to express, and I'll express it anytime I get the chance to do so, and when I feel like doing so. My humble opinion is, anything you, Janice, put your hand on, you destroy it. The evidence is there, and I could go through many other things, but I'm not going to waste more time on that today. But keep in mind, people's lives were destroyed in St. Thomas. You said multiple people went to jail. Nobody happy about going to jail. And anybody who is happy about going to jail, there's something wrong with them. But multiple people have gone to jail who are under your watch. And multiple times you have passed the police station out there at Newcastle, and it seems like your conscience is bothering you about something. And all I would tell you in wrapping up is go in and ask them to put you inside one of those cells to sit down for a minute or two and see what it feels like, yeah? But let me leave that and let me move on. But I didn't even touch the airport project in its entirety in terms of talking about the protest that you raised up there. You had a protest up there one Friday afternoon, and one of the things that was evident is that you had a few people up there. You were there, Janice. Fella Miguel Mills was there. Hensley was there. You could go on Facebook or YouTube and find it anywhere. I could call all of them names. The CFBC fellow was there too. And other people, whoever else was there. But one of the interesting thing about them being there is that all of them over 65. None of them were young people, and I'm not knocking them because of the age. Are trying to make a point. Young people wouldn't come up there to protest over the expansion of the Van Sammer International Airport. Why? Young people know what is afoot with that expansion and what benefits and what they can derive from that expansion in terms of jobs, in terms of training, in terms of opportunities, in terms of their future development as a people and as an island. So young people would never come up there to protest with you all. But see them up there the Friday afternoon in the hot sun. All of them. See them there. All of them over 65. And not knocking them because of their age. But that is the age too, because I'm proud of me 56 years that I am. But I'm saying they couldn't muster any young people to go up there because young people cannot be rolling like that. We roll like that in this day and age. Young people are looking for opportunities. So you're going up there now with protests against the airport development. Trying to mash up that too. Trying to destroy the plans, trying to derail the plans. Everything you put your hand on, you try to destroy. See the view. Go up there and say, fridge up there rotting and thing. Even trying to blame the government for Siblas. Instead, you give the people them an idea as to what they can do. But let me give you a quick idea in closing, Janice. Here's what you do. I spent some time on you this afternoon, and I got more time to spend on you too. But anyway. Up there in Ghana's, right, 36 acres of land were just bought by the government, CCM-led Nevis Island Administration. Those were lands that were negotiated even before I left government and made sure that was in place just to be paid for. What I want you to do is to encourage our young people to go down to the NHLDC and fill out some forms down there. In the meantime, while they're trying to get the subdivision done, go down and put down their names to buy a piece of the rock. Buy a piece of land up there so that they can build a beautiful home up there. That is what you do as a representative. Encourage your people to partake in your island's development. We are saying we want to grow Nevis together. That is something you can admonish them to go. Admonish them to go and fill out the forms and put their names down to at least get their names in the process so that they can own a piece of land. We have done a remarkable job in providing housing for our young people. And I am so happy when I see young people are buying into these houses. And you know, a gentleman who is involved in social development and so forth told me one day, Alexis, you think you're just building houses for young people to go in and pay their mortgage and build up equity? But you have really rescued them from some social difficulties, you know. In terms of if they had difficulties in the household that they're coming from, where there were difficulties with their children, whether molestation or whatever the case might be, they're now in their own home, protecting their children, looking after the children, and building a life for them and their children so that they can have prosperity into the future to come. And that was profound. I like that. And so, there are many things that can be gained. And that is the type of thinking and talking you should be doing, Janice. Not criticize everything. I'm sorry I spend time on you, but I'm glad still. But anyway, I think my time is up for today. And I will say I had a lot more things to touch on here. But, you know, an hour can go by quickly. And so I am so happy that I did come, and I imparted the little that I did impart. And sometimes you over prepare, yes, or you don't get to touch most of what you said you were going to touch. But anyway, that was my quota for today. And indeed, I want us all to continue to pray for the island of Nevis throughout the day or throughout this afternoon. And indeed, on the weekend, who go to church on a Saturday, go on out to serve your God on Saturday. If you go on a Sunday, well, please do. And of course, on Sunday, quickly, we have our harvest celebration over there at the St. James Anglican Church at 10 a.m. I am inviting one and all to come on out and celebrate with us. There's a luncheon thereafter, $25 for the tickets. If you see anyone selling, please patronize. And of course, on Sunday as well, there's a major celebration over there at the St. George's Anglican Church. I forgot the name of my... I should hit myself over the head. But there is a celebration of 100 birthday celebration that is of my sweetheart's aunt. I said it on radio down there at Matchman. Oh, she's going to chastise me on Sunday when I show up for that celebration. Oh man, I should have written it down. But those of you who are aware, show up at 11 o'clock down there at the St. George's Anglican Church. And if you know who I'm talking about, give her a call and wish her a happy birthday. And also celebrate with her, okay? I'm so sorry about that, but it just came to my thought, and sometime on the radio you have to be careful. Anyway, that's my quota for today, and thank you for listening. Thank you for listening on Point for today, and it was indeed my pleasure being here. Have a wonderful weekend, and of course take care of yourself and continue to work hard as we continue to grow Nevis together, build this island so that we can be proud of this place. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend.